But now today I am circling the block and cashing in my I told you so's, because apparently Unk Tendernism has been fired, has been left out on the streets, and nobody cares at all.
Somebody need to find out if Unk that made Tendernism got fired. Because if he did, we cannot let this rock. We know for a fact that the man that owned Destination Smokehouse ain't like Unk being the face of his business. We also know that the attention that Unk was getting, he wanted that attention. Unk made the word tenderism. He trademarked the word tenderism. I'm the tenderism original. Not nobody else. The original tenderism. Booyah.
If you're new to this channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe.
Shalom. Once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High, Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahushai Ba'asham, Rakakwadash, double honors to the elders and the apostles of the Great Millstone, and salutations to you sincere. And this is your brother Bawan back again with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahushai Ba'asham, Rakakwadash. All praises and glory is due, especially in the times that we're in. Right, so this is going into, okay, our back out here with another video once again, going into this whole tenderism drama. Okay, so the recent news is that the Jake that made the whole tenderism, tenderism, this is like it's a food thing, right? So you have all the you have the restaurant Destination Smokehouse, and let's go back on in the video so you can see the actual Jake. Right, this is right here. That's like
Friend, did you forget your wallet? OPay got you.
Here we go.
So I'm like the money man. I'm the opposite of that. I came in.
And this is it right here. So the owner of Destination Smokehouse told on tenderism that he had nothing before meeting him. He later filed for the tenderism trademark and says he feels shortchanged by Unk's fame. Right, so the guy on the left is the owner of the restaurant. The guy on the right is the Jake that actually made the term and made the actual restaurant famous, right? And I'm sure you can remember the tenderism, right? Let's play that video. Let's play the video so you can remember the tenderism. Let's play that. That's the whole thing about it falling off the bone. Let's get it. And this isn't going to be. This isn't. Let me just turn on this water. It is already on. Sorry about that. Don't know why it's messing up like this. It's supposed to have auto rotate. Yeah, there we go. So because they are shorts, I probably won't be able to just turn. Because it's shorts, you probably won't be able to get it to flip like that. To flip the way I want it to. Let me see if I can force it to play as a video. Okay, let's play this.
I just want to see if they tend. If they tend to.
And there you have it. So okay, you're probably going to be seeing this video in the wrong orientation. So just bear with me because I don't know what is wrong with YouTube. So if you remember this Jake right here, the tenderism Jake, tender is falling off the bone. That is who we are actually speaking about right now. So let's quickly go back to this video. That's who we're actually speaking about right now. So that is the Jake that's basically created the brand and created the name and created everything about the whole tenderism, right? And what you see happening right now is that he has been fired and let go from the restaurant that he worked in and built up, right? Because of the fame that he was getting and because of the fact that he did not own any I want to say stake in that restaurant, because all he was just a simple employee. And what this represents is the curses, right, on our people. So let's go to that. And this is the reason why I'm actually doing this video, because it's reminiscent of the curses that the stranger shall get high. Let's go to that preset. Let's get that. Let's see. The stranger shall get thee up high above thee, and thou shalt. Let's get that. That should be a little bit more down. Here it is. So this is the book of Deuteronomy 28, verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Right. So here you have this Jake, right? The tenderism Unk. Okay. because that's what they call him. He is the one that made the company. He is the one that made the catchphrase. He is the one that made them famous, and he is the one that brought all the customers because everybody was basically copying his pattern. The tenderism. Oh, the meat is so tender, it's so soft that it's basically falling off the bone, right? And that's a term that Jake coined as well to show you how tender and soft the meat is. He is the one that came up with the recipe because Esau can't cook, right? And all these things I'm saying is reminiscence of the history of our people. The fried chicken recipe that KFC uses, it was created by a black woman, Eve, right? The recipe that Jack Daniels uses for its whiskey, it was invented, and this has been confirmed, by the way, by a black man, Jake, once again, so-called black man, called them Nearest Green. That's why you see that Jack Daniels is trying to make a different brand called Nearest Green, right? And you have so many other inventions that were made by Jake, right? That basically the history of it and the fact that it was made by Israelites have been swept under the rug, right? And you now have an Edomite in most cases taking responsibility, right? Actually taking what's what I'm looking for? Taking the role as the inventor, let me just say it like that, right? Because that is the state that our people are in. Because we are under the curses, we are unable to reap the fruits of our own labor. Okay, let's get that precept once again. So this is the book of, let's get that precept. Let's see. Yeah, it is Deuteronomy 28 verse 33. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed away. Once again, referring to the curses that are on our people, right? So you work hard, you labor, you create, and you make something great, right? You invent something new, and yet it's still Esau, that's getting rich of that. That's why the scriptures say that you shall, and that's another part of the curses, that you shall go to your enemy for the want of all things. Let's see if we can find that. So this is the book of this isn't that one I'm looking for, but it's still good. Deuteronomy 28 verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee, right? And that's basically what happened with this untendernism, right? And a lot of people were saying the exact same thing, that, oh, why is he working for this Edomite, right? Is this Edomite paying him? Is this Edomite actually treating him right? And it turns out that all those things were, the answer to all those things were no, right? He wasn't getting, the right amount of compensation that he would deserve to be getting as the person that is basically the brand, right? The face of the restaurant, and basically was being taken advantage of. And these devils were enriching themselves off him the same way these devils continuously enrich themselves off Jake, whether it's the NBA, whether it's the NFL, whether it's really everything else, right? Like, for example, when that quarter zip trend, if you remember, you had a trend where Jake were wearing quarter zips, which is basically, a regular tracksuit, but instead of the tracksuit to be, the zip to be all the way down, it's quarter on the torso, right? Halfway through on the tops at the basically where the pecs, your chest ends, right? And that's basically what the quarter zip was. And what you see is that Jake constantly and continuously enriches all these Edomite companies. Why? Because this is part of the curses. You shall go to your enemy for want of all things. That's why you have Jake saying that, oh, well, the black dollar only spends a couple of hours in the so-called black community before it circulates into the hands of other groups, right? Once again, the curses, the reason why our people are in the condition that we're in. All your little gripes, all your little complaints are based on the fact that we as a people are still under the curses. And what is the reason, right? Because you also have to speak about that as well. Because Jake will open their mouth and say, oh, if we are the true people of the Most High, why is it that we are so cursed? Why is it that all these things are happening to us, And even though the Hebrew Israelites will constantly give you the answer to that question, you will still refuse to heed that answer. So this is the book of Daniel 9, and I'll start from verse 7. O Yahweh, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces as at this day, to the men of Judah, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and to all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven them, because of their trespass that they have trespassed against thee. And that is the reason why our people are in the condition that we are currently in, because of our trespass, that we have trespassed against the Most High, Yahweh Basham Yahushai, right? It is a very simple thing to understand. You break the laws, the statutes, and the commandments that have been set up by the Most High, Yahweh Basham Yahushai, you receive the curses, right? But Jake will still continue to be not only facetious, right, but continue to be willfully ignorant of this fact. So now, Daniel 9, verse 8. O Yahweh, to us belongeth confusion of face, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee. That is why our people were under the curses. That is why we went into the captivity. That is why we fell under the curse of the sword, because of our disobedience to the Most High, Yahweh Sham Yahushai. So now let's yeah, that's why our people are in the condition that we are in, and that's why the curses are beating our asses right now in this kingdom. We are going through it. Jake is going through it on this side because of the disobedience of because of our disobedience to the Most High, Yahweh Sham Yahushai. Right. So, that's basically it. Let me just end it right there. So with that, once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High, Yahweh Basham Yahushai, Basham Rakakwadash, Wa Abad Babal, and through the Spirit, I hope you are calm and you are quite edified. Shalom.